What's going on YouTube? September is upon us, and tomorrow Dalton and I will be headed to Colorado for our annual elk hunt. And what I'm doing in this video is I'm just going to show y'all one of my arrow builds, or my arrow build for this year, and I'm just going to go through my process of building arrows. We'll start with the basics. I'm using a RIP TKO in the 250 spine because I shoot 80 pounds on my PSE. They're cut to 27 inches, but with the Shock T 50 grain insert, I'll be adding a couple extra, about an inch or so. And then I also shoot the 125 grain Magnus broadhead. It's the 4-blade broadhead, the 2-blade with the 2 bleeder blades, so technically it's a 4-blade. And then I am shooting the AAE Hybrid Hunter vein from Iron Will. I really like these. They've been flying super great, and I fletched them with a 2 degree helical to the left because my bow clocks arrows to the left. And I am not using like your regular epoxy glue or anything like that. I'm just using this hot melt mix from AAE. It's called the Hot Pink or whatever. The AAE Max Bond, and then the AAE wipes, and the primer pin. On the subject of building these arrows and to take it to a spiritual level, let me read y'all something real quick. In Philippians 3 verses 13 and 14, it says, "Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind, and reaching forth unto the things which are before. I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus." And I say that to say, to get to a spiritual context about that. Our walk with Jesus is kind of, our walk with Jesus is kind of like building an arrow. You got to put all these pieces and all these components so that the arrow will fly right so you can hit your target. And our target is Jesus. Our target is the gospel. And each piece of fletching is like, I would compare it to our characteristics as a Christian, fruits of the Spirit, faith, our prayer life, and us reading the Bible. So let me read you another couple verses here. Jude 1:20 says, "But ye beloved, building up yourselves on your most holy faith, pray in the Lord, pray in the Holy Ghost." And then Galatians 5:22 says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, greatness, goodness, faith, meekness, and temperance." And then two more verses says it's Psalms 119:105 says, "None, thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path." And then 1 Timothy 4:13 says, "Till I come, give attendance to reading, to exhortation, to doctrine." And I just equate that to Paul tells us to hit our mark, and as a Christian we have to build ourselves up and studying the Bible, studying the Word, working on our faithfulness, working on our faith and our believing in God. And then we also got to pray, work on our prayer life, and make sure that we have a good relationship with Jesus. And all those things build us up as a Christian, so that we can hit our mark. And that's no different than an arrow. And I like to equate it as, our bow is kind of like salvation. Jesus gifted us salvation. So our bow is our gift. But we have to act on that gift. We shoot our arrows to try to hit the mark. And as a Christian, our Christian characteristics help us hit the mark, and they help us lead other people to Jesus. And this is not really for those who aren't Christians. But if you're not a Christian and you would like to know more about Jesus, or know more about salvation, I'll read you this in John chapter 14, verse 6. Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. So I say that to say that there is only one way to heaven. There is only one way to Jesus, and that is through him. There's only one way to God. That's through Jesus. So if you guys have any questions about your salvation, or you have any questions about the Bible or anything, you can reach out to me on my Instagram, or leave a comment below, and I can help you the best I can. I'll try to guide you my best in the right direction. But with that being said, let's get back to our arrow building. So I'm using this little boning arrow jig, and this is about the only jig that I've ever used. I know a lot of people really like the Bitzenberger, but I didn't have the money at the time for a Bitzenberger, so we're using a boning. So actually, let me take this arrow out. What we're going to do first is take our Max clean wipes, and I probably need to get some more because this is my last one, so I got to make this one count. So what we'll do with this is, oh, and I've already cleaned the inside where the inserts go. I clean those. I use a kind of like a pure alcohol. You can use fingernail polish remover or something like that, but I clean those out with a Q-tip. So what you want to do is take this wipe and you'll clean the shaft. I started, fletching straight to the shaft instead of putting a wrap on. I've heard a lot of different things. It just adds a little unnecessary weight. But I'm going to take this arrow and I'm going to put it in this jig. Well, let me make sure I've got it set right. Yep, I got to turn it to the right way. Alright. So I'm running the 3 fletch, and I have the 3 fletch piece in here. You can trade it out. This particular jig has several different fletching configurations. I use a 3 fletch. I tested out a 3 and a 4 fletch, but I ended on the 3 fletch with the 3-degree helical to the left. It shot the best for me. And that's not to say that the 4 fletch didn't shoot good, but I had a little more drop on my shots with a 4 fletch, and they were all pretty consistent, but I just really liked the 3 fletch the best out of those. So we'll put our arrow here, and this is the piece that will clamp onto the jig to put the arrow, or put the fletching onto the arrow. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our fletching, and we're going to put it into the jig. So we'll slide the fletching into the jig, and what we're going to do now is take our priming pin, and we're going to prime this arrow right here. And then after the arrow's been primed, what we're going to do is take our glue and we're just going to ever so slightly dab some of this glue on here. I put several little beads. I don't put a whole lot. Less is more when it comes to these arrows, or these fletching. And so what I do is I kind of hold the arrow so I don't get any movement, and it's already adjusted to the way that I want these fletching on here. So I kind of hold the arrow in place so when I clamp it down it doesn't move the arrow, and we're in business. So we sit here for the clock. I have to edit that part out. But we'll wait a few seconds. It doesn't take very long, maybe 15 to 30 seconds, and then we'll pop this top part of the jig off, and then our arrow will have a fletching on it. And then to get the other fletching on, we'll take this knob right here and spin it. And as I said before, it's configured to a 3 fletch, so it will move over one spot and then one additional spot after that. So we'll just repeat the process. Take our primer pin, prime the fletching, dab the glue on, and then we will set our fletching. Hold the arrow and pop it on there. Like I said, not very long, 15 to 30 seconds. Not even that, and that arrow is probably good to go. So we will one more time rotate our jig, the knob on our jig, one more fletching. We will prime this fletching. We will put our glue on here. Seat the jig, hold the arrow, seat the fletching. And the reason I kind of hold this arrow down is I had an issue when I was putting my fletching on before, where if I didn't hold the arrow steady, when I put the piece that holds the fletching down, when I would clamp it down, sometimes it would make the fletching wavy, and I'll give you an example of that right here. You can kind of see that I have some waves in this arrow from it not clamping all the way right. Now we have a fully fletched arrow with my left helical. And then all I'll do after this is I'll take a Q-tip and kind of wipe the excess glue off a little bit, because you'll have just a little bit of excess glue. And what I do is I take and I dab glue on the front and the back of each fletching. It just kind of helps to not only hold it, but I feel like, I guess this could be just in my mind, but I feel like it helps with some of the aerodynamics of the fletching. Kind of creates a little bubble in front of the fletching. It's neither here nor there. You don't necessarily have to do that, but I do it. Now I'll let that arrow rest, and what we will do now is I'm actually going to go ahead and we'll put the insert on this arrow so y'all can see that process. I'll be right back. Now I'm back. So I use a Burnzomatic. It's I can't remember what this stuff is. What is that? Butane. Oh, it's butane. Yeah, that's right, butane. So what I do with this is I usually take one of my broadheads or a practice tip. And the good thing about this glue right here is you can orient your broadheads to your fletching. So I like to run a straight up and down broadhead with when I have broadheads like this. As far as like mechanicals and stuff, I don't really think it matters that much, but with larger fixed blade broadheads, I really like to run that up and down so that it catches the up fletching. So like I shoot fletching up, and it's in line with that fletching. So what I'll do here is we'll start this, lock it into place, and all we'll do is kind of, as you can see, we'll heat this metal up a little bit. You ain't got to get it super hot, but, and the good thing about this this torch is it gets hot real fast. It stays pretty even temperature, so it doesn't fluctuate a whole lot. That's why I like this specific type of gas. It's already melting. So all you do is just kind of get that glue on there. And then what you'll do then is I like to take my arrow and then I will start to insert it and then spin the arrow onto the insert. And I run it all the way up in there. The heat kind of forces it out a little bit, but when it starts to cool down a little bit, you'll just push it in. So instead of using a Q-tip, you can just use a paper towel, and I'll just kind of clean up these fletching a little bit from that excess glue. And for me, that is a full arrow build. Doesn't take long at all. I have that left helical. I have the 50 grain shock T insert by Victory, and then the 125 grain Muzzy broadheads. I mean Magnus broadheads.